it all together. So I'll just let you know, our meeting is now live on YouTube. And
I did do some bedtime activity with.
I was literally just grabbing my phone, going, "Uh-oh, Vigs."
Yep. Where's Vigs? Coming.
It's not like it was before.
No, I'm not in my Civic. Working away.
I wonder which podcasts were those? Was it like? Maybe it's in the info.
Yeah, I bet it is. Vigo from the Civic.
Okay,
sure, that was the day. Trying to figure that out.
I remember Nate coming to pick me up, and when I didn't have a car on campus, when we would go do our podcast down at 93X, he had his Civic. We would just pick me up in the dead of winter, and we'd just kind of stroll along through Dinky Town, just awful roads, and that's the price of getting to the studio.
Just give me a second. I'm just putting together some links for the tweets and whatnot.
I'm organizing my social.
Oh, I can't do that one there.
Got to keep up on the feed.
Yeah, keep on the feed. We got a live chat to look at now.
It's just
we had it before, but it's just, with the live video, it's like, watch your volume there on the live video there, Viggs.
I know. I got it now. A break.
I'm giving you shit. That's what I do. You didn't miss anything, Steve. We haven't started yet. Okay, because I'm still doing back-end stuff here. Submit. That's good. Make sure it's up on the GPL portal page. There we go. And all the links are not messed up. And let's do it on. Let me see if I wonder if I can kind of tag you on the Facebook post here. Let's see if it lets me. What the heck? It's not letting me do it on the Facebook. It's probably, you might not be a part of the page. So Drew. We just call it the zone coverage, or do you want zone coverage Minnesota?
I would do zone coverage or 10K rinks. That's kind of the new option. The new. I'm
gonna say zone coverage because I'll never remember the other.
Article. Yeah.
Tom is just getting fancy with his enterprise, huh?
Yeah, no, it's I think it's something special. It's pretty cool. We're getting a lot of stuff done. We're getting a lot of trying to make the hockey stuff pretty regular, just like their football stuff. So getting a lot of stuff out there. My day is usually Tuesday, so keep out for my work on my stuff on the Wild on Tuesday.
I'm keeping my eyes out. I comment where I feel like it.
Awesome.
Okay, I have tweeted it out. Now, and I've got it on Facebook as well. Maybe minimize this as much as I can so I can still see the chat. Oh, it puts the chat below. That's fine. So much going on. Yeah. Stupid YouTube. What is it? A bot that hit us last week?
Yeah, that was fun. Wanted to talk about Ole Miss football. Poor guys.
Definitely the wrong pot. That's for sure.
Not our target audience.
Nope.
Okay, let me get a drink here real quick. You guys ready then?
Let's do it.
Oh.
Sure. Then my Facebook Messenger blows up at the right time. Love that. Throw my phone on the floor. Okay, let me record so I don't forget that. Go to speaker view. There we go. Stop that. Record onto the cloud. So, all right, we're good there. All right, let's start the show. This is the GPL podcast, sponsored by Jerry Peters and First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Visit us at firstclassmortgage.com. Now, here's Jupe and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL podcast, episode number 184. Well, we've got Drew Cove back with us tonight for his third appearance on the GPL podcast. Drew, from the zone coverage these days, you've been growing up, from the daily to, doing little things for, the Pioneer Press and whatnot. But now you're at zone coverage, and now you're at a little piece of zone coverage, aren't you?
Yeah, we're kind of spinning off the wild and hockey side into 10K ranks. So be sure if you can, if you're interested if you're interested in the Gophers, you're probably interested in pro hockey too. So follow at 10K ranks on Twitter and follow our stuff. You can just go to zone coverage and you'll see the little wild banner. But that's kind of where all our hockey coverage lives.
Well, I must say that I'm not seeing many videos from you this year.
Yeah, I know it's. I was able to go to that first series, and then it just kind of that was. I know I got the message from Deutsch that he said, yeah, we're scaling back a little bit, and totally understand. So I was like, I'll probably feel a little bit better just being from home, anyways. So,
I miss those videos. I miss sitting there either after a game with with the gang at Maxwell's, giving you a hard time, or even one time Rob Scheel and I were at White Castle one time commenting on your video. But it's fun videos. You have a great time, and I enjoy those videos when you do them. So keep doing them, kid.
Last couple times I did them because I live in Stadium Village now, so I pretty much just walked down the street all the way home, and it was pretty cold the one day I did it. So I'm kind of glad maybe
you were doing it when you were walking too, weren't you?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Weren't you walking and kind of?
I was just walking down University and kind of the hum of the cars coming by, but my hand was pretty cold by the end of it, just holding the phone up. But.
Well, we've loved your coverage over the years, so it's nice to have you back on the show. I guess the old elephant in the room, Vigs, swept by the Fighting Irish. Not defensively, not a terrible weekend. Offensively, they just couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, last year, Bob really talked about this series being a rock fight. One of those series where you get the rock, you throw it over to their side, maybe they mishandle it, and you get a scoring opportunity. Otherwise, they pick up the rock, take it to their side of the red line, and throw it back over. And Minnesota made enough mistakes over the weekend where it cost them on both nights. Against a team like Notre Dame, you would like to get out the leads, maybe extend the leads, and not let them get back in the game. But Minnesota, even getting out the leads on Friday, the first game of the series, they gave them up by making careless mistakes. And this is a worry with this team, is that they get in situations where they make too many mistakes. And let's be honest, college hockey doesn't allow you to really make up for that all the time.
And also, Vigs, is that you get behind a Notre Dame, they're going to lock it down even more.
Yeah, I think in the second game, that was one where Minnesota just got frustrated and they let it show on the ice. They weren't winning enough of the battles. Their power play, they had plenty of chances, but they didn't really stick to getting good flow, getting good puck movement, and getting good scoring chances. They were kind of taking whatever shot they could get or whatever drive to the net they could get, and they were satisfied with that. And I think, as we've seen, when this power play group gets going, they can create some chaos and second opportunities. And against Notre Dame, there's no second opportunities if you're not organized.
Well, one thing I was noticing, Drew, is that besides the lack of opportunities, it seems like even the opportunities they had were not really great ones either.
Yeah, it just seemed like most of the time they were, like Viggs was saying, it's just getting into the zone was really tough. And when they would, they just kind of get a shot and it'd be saved. And either St. Cyr or Bishop would just kind of glove it and go down, and then face off would happen and they'd lose it. But it well, not a lot of threatening shots, a lot of threatening chances. And they just getting the puck into the zone first off was just like pulling teeth itself. It just didn't really work that well.
Well, especially game one too, Drew. I mean, they supposedly adjusted the second night, but It was ugly.
Yeah,
I don't know if there was much of an adjustment the second night.
Well,
Maybe
supposedly
on the
we were looking for one, but
maybe on the whiteboard they made an adjustment, but on the ice there wasn't one.
I just noticed that, at least the second night, Vigs, it seemed like they did dump the puck a little more, but then they didn't do what they're supposed to do. They didn't pursue it. They didn't, we've seen this earlier in the season when they have dumped the puck, they've gone in and got the puck or caused problems for the defense that the defense turns it over. There was none of that, especially on the second game.
Well, I think when we've seen the Gophers be effective, they put the puck in the right spot where a forechecker can get on it. I asked Sammy Walker about this after the game because you could see them doing different things. They were doing some soft dumps. They were doing some hard rims. They were doing some cross corner dumps. They were putting it in hard. And there just didn't seem to be enough organization to their forecheck where they were always late. And I don't know if that's when you get into a situation where you're playing a team like Notre Dame and you're behind and maybe you get fatigued or maybe you're just not totally engaged. And that point, your game isn't sharp. And the flow and the speed and the anticipation that we saw just was not there. You saw some kind of robotic play at times. I know getting back to the power play, you know how Minnesota sometimes like to drop the puck to that late trailing defenseman. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame read that and were playing that, and the Gophers didn't adjust at all. Here you have a defenseman coming up, getting into the neutral zone, and there's a Notre Dame player behind him, and he's dropping the puck anyway. And that player's like, "Thank you very much. Good luck, good luck on your breakout again."
3 instances of that where it was like a 2-on-1 type turnover, and it kind of boggled your mind by the time the third time it came around. You just say, "Wow, this is kind of a very dangerous play." I mean, just about bound to be a shorthanded goal at some point with that.
Could another thing be, Vigs, is that when a team stops you at the blue line, you need to jump and chase. That can work when they got 2 guys on the blue line, but when they've got 3 and 4 guys, it's tougher to get through just to go get possession of the puck back in the in the corner or whatever. So they just couldn't figure it out. But you know what? If they want to be successful this season, they're going to have to figure it out.
They're going to have to figure it out. And it was maybe 2 years ago where Bob brought this up, but he noticed that teams were targeting a forward as that back line of 3 players. Usually there's going to be 2D and a forward is that third guy. He noticed that other teams were targeting that forward on dump ins and plays at the blue line. And that's what a structured, smart hockey team picks up on, is they identify a weak point either on the blue line or among the forwards who are back defending, and that's where they attack. And everybody knows that, and they're on the same page. And so when Bob comes to the media this week and he says, "It's my fault. We've had these weird schedules and we're getting off our normal practice plans and we didn't prepare to play Notre Dame the way we need to play Notre Dame." Part of me wonders, did he almost fall into a trap too of relying on the skilled team that he has and not put out the game plan that he needed to?
Well, I've got some questions on Twitter. It's kind of pushes us in that direction. And looks like a Steve Larson, who's actually in the chat. He's short and he's, should we be concerned with the play from the Gophers last weekend, or is it just an off weekend? I'll throw that at you, Drew. Off weekend or not? Because the way I see it, Wisconsin started doing the same thing, started exposing it, and maybe, Notre Dame kind of picked it up from there. Yeah,
I think just with how structurally sound Notre Dame is, I think this is one team that just the Gophers hadn't seen. I guess a play style that the Gophers hadn't really seen it that works so well yet. And I think a combination of Scott Reedy being out, probably their best guy entering the zone. And I mean, you take him away from Sample Ranta, that takes a little bit of obviously some of the dynamic abilities of those 2 guys when they're together is just incredible. And when just entering the zone and how good Scott Reedy is with possession, I think that would have helped just generate at least a few more offensive chances. I don't know how many more, if it would have been a difference maker, but he was certainly missed. I think it's mainly a blip because it seems like they're pretty gung-ho to say we're not going to try and throw away this 10-0 start, and we're pretty pretty diligent that it's gonna be fixed here soon, and especially against Arizona State, I think, which is just a definite different team than Notre Dame. I think they'll be able to regain some confidence this weekend.
And then Viggs, you add to the fact that power play was powerless this weekend. I'm noticing a comment, in the YouTube chat. Tim Hapke, could they quit dropping the pass back on the power play? They're going to get burned. And he's not really far off. That's kind of the new thing now all over the place. But it seems like Notre Dame kind of jumped that a few times.
Yeah. And if you get too robotic on your power play breakouts and entries, a good team like Jeff Jackson, Notre Dame's going to pick up on that and take that away and force you to do something different. And the players just have to recognize that on the ice. It was pretty clear, even on the TV feed, that first F1 was just going to drift behind him and take that away. And so when you're Ryan Johnson, or if you're Jackson Lacombe, or if you're Mike Castor, you just have to read that and go, okay, there's a guy behind me. I only see 3 players in front of me. That means there's someone gone. I have to take that mental picture and put that into play and just attack. Because if they know that that's going to happen, they're just going to let you go by. Turn on the Jets and go play your 5-on-3. If they're just going to give it to you, take advantage of it. And that's just something that I think as players get more experienced, they'll be able to pick up on.
And even further on the power play, Drew, is that even when they did have possession in the zone, Notre Dame kept them to the outside. They couldn't get anything. They had a really hard time getting someone out of position. And I did notice that on the second game, they started moving a little bit more, but Notre Dame really did stick to their guns and stay in their positions.
Yeah, I mean, they kept net front away, and obviously I think Sampo Ranta probably had the best shot of anybody there. Just getting in tight and actually staying there and kind of making it tough for the goalie to really see at all. And it is kind of an outlier because they were having a lot of success there, but I just think they really kept them. They got the sticks in the way, skates in the way. They just kind of found, just from what we've seen Notre Dame do all the time, it's just they're really good plugging those lanes and just being a really structured defensive team and not really showing any signs of being able to deviate from that structure.
So Viggs, we go to Notre Dame not too long. Matsko felt it's on him. What can they do different next time when they go to Compton?
Well, I think they need to stick to their game plan that the coach is implementing. And maybe the coach needs to spend a little bit more time defining what that is to the players. I think it can be tricky sometimes for these hockey programs to focus on systems a lot and implement those. But this is a veteran group. Bob talked about this after the weekend. He's like, these players played Notre Dame 4 times last year. They played a 3-game playoff series. They should have known what to expect. And to me, that's Bob saying, I was disappointed that my players didn't remember their experience from last year and apply it to this weekend. Mm-hmm. They're going to get reminders going into that next series with Notre Dame. Bob's not going to leave anything to chance with that. He's going to want his team to be able to make a statement, and they just have to stick to their game plan. They can't take penalties in the offensive zone. When you're in the offensive zone, 200 feet from your net, you cannot put your stick in another player's hands or skates. You just can't, especially if you're, just flying by a guy. If you're coming in on an entry and you're not going to be able to get to the net, and it's maybe a 40-60 chance to make a play, you're going to have to make the percentage play and take the 60%, which is putting the puck behind their defense. They're going to have to pay attention to, what the other team is doing during the game, because they're not just going to play the same trap. They're not just going to play the same forecheck. They're not going to do the same puck retrievals and breakouts. You're going to have to go a little next level to play against them.
And Drew, Viggs brought up a really good point there. You can't be taking offensive zone penalties, and they've taken quite a few this year. Yes, their penalty kill has been pretty good, but it's not going to always be that way. And it did burn them.
Yeah, it's just they got to be a little bit more disciplined, as Viggs was saying. It's just you have all the advantage when you're there, and you just you got to make the moves, keep your feet moving, to make sure that just give yourself every opportunity for you to draw one against them. And it's not, I guess, with Notre Dame, for how I guess, experienced they are and sound they usually are defensively, it should be they're maybe not going to make that mistake too often. But the Gophers were on the wrong end of that last time, and they're really going to need to improve the next time around, especially when they have so much trouble entering the zone 5-on-5 anyways.
I think it will help that they should have Scott Reedy back by then. I think he makes a big difference in their offensive zone play. Not having him in the lineup, I think, impacted a lot of guys. I think it impacted Sampo, because when Sampo and Reedy are on the ice together, they win a lot of second chances, whether it's because Reedy makes a power play and Sampo's able to pick up the rebound or vice versa. I think they feed off each other, and they're a really tough pair to play against because they can battle at such a high level. When we asked Brandon McManus about it, he's like, yeah, we've got some big bodies on this team that are tough to play against. And when they're missing Reedy, I think it really impacted them.
Yeah, it's amazing between that line. Oh, sorry. Just that line too, with, I guess, compared to the McManus, McLaughlin, and Walker line, just how much the size disparity and how much that would, I mean, I feel like Reedy and Ranta definitely would have had so much. I mean, even add another one of the, I mean, a Ben Myers type or a Jackson Nelson. Imagine 3 of those type of guys on the same line, especially when you have kind of a smaller line like that. It just, that type of size and those power forward types, they're just so strong on the puck that's what they really needed to kind of keep possession in the offensive zone, at least at some point, sustain some pressure at 5-on-5.
Now, Viggs, do we know that Reedy and I believe Stoddicker, are they both going to be back? I mean, we've been kind of hearing some strange things. Like, we're hearing the coaches think they're going to be back, but are they medically cleared to come back yet? I see your smile on your face there.
We don't really know for sure. Bob was trying to think that they might be back for this previous weekend, but they weren't, obviously.
No, they weren't.
He's hinting at them maybe being available this weekend, but it's not really clear if that's going to happen. So,
and it's not a league game, but
it's not a league game. They could use him back in the lineup, but I think they could use him more for when they go to Ohio State. So I would imagine if they have some caution, they might wait an extra week to play him, but they might not want Arizona State to know that. Yeah. So, we're not allowed to see practices like we usually are, so we can't even tell if they're skating. In other days we knew enough by showing up for practice that you could ask a better question, and Bob's being awfully coy about it. It was pretty funny in the radio post game. Frank Mazzacco and Molly Shaver were, giving a compliment saying, well, Bob, you never short answer us. And then just seconds later, they were on the media availability with us. And, Jess goes, so any update on Scott and Matt? Nope. So we got some games going.
Well, I see some questions that we can probably handle in the chat, and as well as we got a Rhett Picklet question on Twitter. But first, we need to hear from our sponsor.
Hey, fellow GPLers, this is Jerry Peters from First Class Mortgage. Interest rates are near all-time lows and property values are on the rise. Lower your interest rate and remove monthly PMI at the same time to save thousands of dollars, or use the equity in your home for debt consolidation and home improvement. The housing market is still hot, so make sure you're prepared by getting a pre-approval letter from me before you start shopping. Mention you heard about me on the GPL podcast and receive a $300 closing cost credit. Some restrictions do apply. Call me today at 612-940-3291 or visit firstclassmortgage.com to fill out a free online application. My NMLS number is 480200. First Class Mortgages is 322842. This is not an offer to lock into an interest rate agreement under Minnesota law. First Class Mortgage is an equal housing lender.
Of course, we always thank Jerry for that. Gonna hit up the chat here. Our favorite GPL lawyer, Eric Brever. Does Mo, New Prague's finest, get another look this weekend? What do you think, Corey? Corey, jeez. I see Corey Cove. You're related to him.
Yeah.
I just thinking Cove.
Yeah.
What do you think? Does Mo get another shot this weekend? He's been in one game so far, and he gave up quite a bit. He gave up the lacrosse goal against the same team.
I don't know. I think if he gets a start, the non-conference team makes sense, especially when Jack is playing so well, just to get some
Yeah.
time. Because obviously Bob's been really kind of keeping Jack in there because he's obviously been one of the best goalies in the country so far. But it depends on, I don't know if he'd get what is it, Thursday, Friday this week? I don't know if he'd get the first game. But maybe the second game, maybe if it looks like LaFontaine struggles, and just give him an extra day to get ready for the Wisconsin series. And obviously you get what's 5 or 6 days if you add 1 or 2. But yeah, I just think it could be the second game if they give him a shot. But obviously no insider info there. So
What do you think, Viggs? Throw Mo in there?
I mean, I would definitely play him if I was coach of the team, because you're not sure what you're going to have the rest of the way. I don't know what the COVID situations are, but I think you want to keep one of your goaltenders active. He looked okay once he kind of got into the games against Arizona State last time. So give him a chance to redeem himself. Take away Svechnikov, Michigan the goal if it comes up again.
Okay, our boy Tim Hapke again. Rhett Pitlick asked for a trade, and it was traded to Tri-City this week. Any word on why? And do college coaches have any influence on such trades? Viggs, I'm going to throw that at you. You can't have a smile on your face. What do you think there?
I mean, sometimes a family advisor like Lance Pitlick might have some sort of influence in this if he's not encouraged with the direction of where things are going. Some USHL teams are different than others. I've heard experiences of kids who get on teams where if the coach doesn't like the way they're playing, they'll just get skated into the ground, and their strength and conditioning programs are a mess, and they're not happy with how the development's happening. It can burn out a player and make a season really unpleasant. The flip side, you have some programs like the Chicago Steel with Hardy down there, who's just a developmenter. He's got all these NHL draft picks who want to play there and stay there and play with his system. It's much more in the process of developing the best hockey player at the end of the season. So he did ask for the trade, and I think Tri-City is going to get a good player back. And Nyes has decided to stay at Tri-City. He's another Gopher recruit, so it's a good program for him. He wanted to stay there rather than leave mid-season or leave early. So I think there must be something there that he likes. So we'll see what happens. Rhett's playing pretty well in the USHL, so we'll see what happens.
What's his timing, Viggs, for coming into the U?
I gotta think he's a next year player.
Okay.
He'll be the right age. He could have maybe come in this year, but he'll be here next year, I would think, if he's playing for the Gophers. You never know these days. But he's signed and he should be there.
Another question. Any word on the rest of this year's games are strictly on FSN? We know nothing, do we, Drew? We don't. No. I've heard some rumors that the games next weekend are at 5 p.m. The Ohio State games, but we don't know what TV. My guide says nothing. It's just a different year, Drew.
Yeah, I've heard it on this podcast a few weeks in a row, but the Gopher fandom is getting what they most of the time wanted with the FSN, right? But I'm kind of glad it's on FSN just because most of the time when it's just kind of more regular, it's easy to find, especially when we're not going to Mariucci really much anymore. But yeah, it's just if it's on some sort of I know Big Ten is maybe carried a little less than Fox Sports North, but yeah, and who knows what the new Sinclair situation and the new contracts and are they going to keep doing this, or who knows? I don't know. But yeah, it's an adventure, just like Bob was saying a few weeks in a row. He said, well, we'll know the schedule soon. And then next week, we'll know the schedule soon. And then the next week, we'll know the schedule after Christmas. Well, we'll know it by the new year. And then finally it came out. But I don't know. It's definitely playing everything by ear right now. And I don't think with the last 9-10 months of experience that's bound to change anytime soon.
Viggs, one thing that's strange, Viggs, is that Big Ten has been kind of quiet. Usually, I looked at that next week's schedule. there's just basically reruns and stuff going on at 5 p.m. if that is in fact the case with the timing. I'm a little surprised that BTN's a little quiet. Are you? Or are they just kind of in the same boat? They don't know when basketball games are going to be. They don't know when wrestling's going to be. Is it just all big cluster this year?
I think it is all a big cluster. They're just trying to figure out the volleyball schedule, which came out this last week. They're just getting that underway. I'm sure Big Ten Network wants to get some of those games on. We've had all these cancellations come up, with Gopher basketball getting their Nebraska game canceled. So I think that the leagues are trying to figure out ways to satisfy their TV partners. They want to get as much of that TV revenue that they can by getting games on the different networks and meet all the obligations that they have. So trying to get that programming on means that they would probably rather have Minnesota, Nebraska basketball on than Arizona State Gopher hockey. It's just, that's the way it is. Heck, they might want to have Gable Stevenson on more than Gopher hockey. He's very entertaining to watch, and wrestling has a very passionate following. So there's all these things that they're trying to weigh. And I know that Minnesota's pushed a lot to have games on FSN, and
they've done a great job. They filled a lot so far.
Yep. It was nice to see Charlie Beatty get a game, and Anthony LaPanta's anxious to do more Gopher hockey games. So, they're fortunate to have those kinds of options on their network. And we always know the TV is going to be good for Minnesota because the local camera guys are always great. So that helps.
Well, we did lose a cameraman this past fall, a local cameraman. I'm forgetting his name right now. I apologize for that, but he did a lot of Wild games. He did a lot of Twins games. He did a lot of Gopher games. He was the main camera guy up at, for the main shot for Gopher hockey a lot. But you are right, though. We have a lot of great camera people and production people here in this area. So it's usually good stuff. And then you see another broadcast and you're like, what is going on? Or even some like the Wild games when they're on the road, sometimes you're like watching these things going, we do really have it pretty good here in Minnesota when it comes to production, Biggs.
Yeah, you watch some of these road games and some of these NHL games, and now they have different camera angles because the seating changes, so they're using different ones. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, it's just like, oh, this is awkward. Just zoom out and hopefully you keep the puck in the screen here.
What are your guys' thoughts of the behind the net cam, the one kind of at the top of the glass, kind of they use in the power play? What are you guys' thoughts on those?
Okay, I'll tell you a little inside story on that. We know FSN's been using that for quite a while. At least they used to use it for Gopher hockey. They'd have the robot camera back. I
noticed
there.
It in the Wild games the last few days a
lot. But this was more like 10 years ago. They were doing this, and they would love to do that on a Gopher power play. Get that view from behind the power play, and it was kind of annoying because you couldn't see the play setup. And back then, the producer for the games would sit in the GPL chat as we're doing the game. And sometimes we would say, can you turn that view off? And he would actually turn it off and go back to the above view. Chris Withers was the producer back then. Good guy. And he would love to sit in the chat just to see what people were saying about the broadcast as it was happening. And sometimes we were effective. We got to influence the broadcast because I'm kind of like you, Drew. I like it once in a while. I like it on replays, but when the action is happening, you're used to a certain view and you're kind of used to the wide view. So you could see how things are developing. When they have that little camera, the robot view, it seems like you cannot see it develop as easy.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a little harder to see in the corners too, especially when it gets down and just the depth perception is a little off. I can understand like if it was used on every power play for my entire life, but I've seen it wide angle most of my life, and I just kind of am used to the depth perception there, and it just throws me off a little bit sometimes when I feel like I'm watching something, and then it's like, oh well, this is a little different than it looks, different than I thought it would look. So.
Viggs, I kind of like those cameras for replays. I mean, we've seen those dasher cams where it follows the player up the ice, along. We haven't seen that in a little while, but that's something we've seen in the past. And you really got to more feel the speed of the game because the camera's going right with them. It's moving. But don't do that live. Let's see those on replay.
Yeah, I don't mind it a little bit sometimes if you have a power play that's working from the top. I imagine when Robbie Stucker has the puck up there, I think you'd see some interesting things about what he's seeing from his view because he's got his head up and he's usually looking towards the net. So you can kind of probably get a little bit of an insight about what he's seeing there. Sometimes when you get players coming off the wall, it's probably less effective because you just can't see it as clearly what they're looking at as you can from a normal play-by-play. But I don't mind the changeup as long as it's wide enough. It can capture the whole zone and you can see it, and it's just a changeup. I do really like to see it too, like on a power play breakout. As a D gets behind the net and looks up ice, and you can see where the forecheckers are. You can tell where they're swinging. Sometimes that tells you where the penalty kill is trying to influence the puck, and that's just not something you can see in the normal TV view. So it's something different.
I would actually like to see a camera center ice underneath the scoreboard, looking at the offensive zone when something's going on, because then you are kind of seeing what the defenseman's seeing. It's not coming at you. You're seeing kind of the whole part of the screen. Here I'm doing all these hand stuff for the video people, and of course the people listening aren't going to understand that, but something like a scoreboard middle of the ice, hanging down, robotic, it could turn either way. I mean, we've seen things like that. I wouldn't mind that, but these companies are not going to go overboard. Not right now. Not with the way the finances are.
Well, if they don't have to fly out their announcing crews to every game, maybe they could start investing in these robotic cameras to give people better views.
Maybe. I mean, we're getting the advertisements on the glass, and we're getting all this kind of stuff. Who knows? Well, let's get into this weekend, boys. Arizona State coming back into town, Drew. They just spent last weekend in Madison where why? They went after their former player, Sean Doogie.
They didn't know. The Arizona State did not have a good weekend. And I think it's probably also a combination of Wisconsin finally kind of hitting its potential so far this season. Obviously, we thought Wisconsin was going to be one of the better teams, and they struggled a little bit out of the gate. But and obviously they had some COVID issues too. But they've definitely kind of fallen into their stride, and just like I think the Gophers did a few weeks ago against Arizona State, Wisconsin did what they should have. But yeah, I mean, Arizona State comes in as a physical team, a high octane offensive team, obviously, but I think the Gophers are going to have a lot better time establishing the zone and kind of just getting those entries and getting more confidence kind of on the offensive side of the puck. And obviously, I think missing Matt Staudiker is going to be big. I thought it was a tough situation for them when Notre Dame had such an effective and aggressive forecheck. Missing a bigger guy like that who can kind of establish his presence there. And but I think especially this weekend when Arizona State's going to be kind of heavy and flying with the puck, they're going to miss Staudiker. But I think the Gophers will have a chance to really reestablish their offense.
So Viggs, obviously Sean Doogie's former team kind of went after him. I didn't see the hit. Can you describe it or tell me what happened there? Because boy, it's kind of weird they go after a former teammate when his younger brother's on the team too.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird situation. I think it's just one of those hits where the player committed to the path and went through it, and Doogie's not a very big guy. No. And so it was kind of an ugly hit. It is probably a little bit curious how that would happen and why that would happen. I think Todd, when he was on our show, talked a little bit about who Doogie maybe didn't get along with Granato and how he was coaching the team. And, some players get different lengths of rope to learn how to play and with ice time and things like that. And I don't think Doogie liked, being rushed back from injury. So there's all kinds of things that went into that relationship there and with that Wisconsin locker room. So tough to say. I think it's a better matchup for Minnesota playing ASU again than Notre Dame. If there's a tonic to get healthy, playing ASU is probably it. They get up and down the ice. There's going to be chances. People could maybe start feeling good about themselves again, because after that Notre Dame series, there are a lot of daubers that were down in the locker room.
I think the question everyone wants to know, Drew, is will Walker have another lacrosse goal?
I got to say the odds of that are pretty low, but we'll see. College hockey, you never know. So, who knows? I mean, maybe if LaFontaine gets both games, it doesn't happen, and that'd just be.
Could
hilarious.
you imagine if Mo had happened to Mo again?
Happens. Obviously, nothing against Mo, but that'd just be kind of funny if he happens to be in, and it's the opportunity presents itself.
Mo was a pretty good sport about it, Viggs.
He was. He definitely is like, it's going to be on Sports Center. You just try not to think about that the rest of the game. My question is, will somebody from Minnesota try it on ASU? I mean, this would be one of the things where I would love to have been at practice this week to see if guys were practicing the move. Because it's something that if you have enough time and you have kind of a flexi stick, it's not super challenging to do. You just got to have kind of the moxie in the situation to do it. So I'm kind of curious, is there somebody on the Gopher roster who might try to get back and, serve some revenge cold?
Did someone try it last weekend real quick and it dropped off? Maybe I was watching another game. Somebody was either Gopher or.
Yeah. I remember Clymer saying something that, went for the Svechnikov. Clymer was very clear to say Svechnikov, not the mission.
Yep. We're not going to say it's the Mike Legg goal for anyone.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, it is obviously Walker's a great player. So and we talked about this on the podcast. A lot of things came together just perfectly for him. It came off the wall perfectly. It was already on edge. He was going by. He had but yes, things were working, but he had the thought that I can do this. I can pull it off. And it was the smoothest thing we've seen. All because everything came together. But he pulled it off.
Kudos to him. I hope we see one from a Gopher this weekend.
I'd like to see one from a Gopher, period, any weekend. I mean, what's the last amazing goal? Maybe Oposo and Mankato when he went between the legs? That's a long time ago, Viggs. I can't think of any other circus type goals since then. I mean, Drew was like 10. You're
honestly probably right on. About it. When was Okposo here? 07, 06?
Yeah, it was around that time. And
all right, I would have been 8, 9, 10.
I was there for that game in the stands as a fan.
Really?
And I was on the on the other side, you couldn't see it as well, and we were down low. I'm like, what just happened? And I think at that time, I don't think they even had a video replay there in Mankato, so we didn't really know what happened until I got home. Brent Hoven, he's saying, Blake Wheeler, Final Five. That was a luck goal. He just swiped at it, and the goalie, he just missed it. I'm thinking just pure skill. The Oposo goal is the last one I can remember with that kind of goal. Vig's got I don't know, look at his face.
We'll see. It could be a fun one. Maybe look at one this week. But
Hapke thinks it might have been Meyer who tried the lacrosse goal this week. I think maybe it was Meyer. He just tried to get up and just couldn't get the stick up. Jesse Emberg, Hall's goal? No, that's another kind of luck goal. I mean, pure skill when somebody's doing something with your stick. Unfortunately, we haven't seen too many successful shootouts for Minnesota. That when that started in the Big Ten, it took them forever to do anything with it.
Yeah, it was like the wild.
And that's typically where you'd see it. But Hapke saying Vanek versus Ferris State, that was a pretty good skill play, but that was just kind of speed going around and sharp shooting up over his shoulder. I'm going with Oppo, so that's can't think of anything else. Let's get your predictions then. Drew.
All right. I want to say go for sweep just because it's kind of the wake up call if you're getting swept on the other end the last weekend. especially against a team they've had recent success against Notre Dame. But I think it shakes out the way Minnesota wants roster wise. I think especially from their last weekend against each other. And if it's a shootout, I think if not a shootout, but if it's a kind of a back and forth, pretty exciting action game, I think the Gophers are going to win it, even though they are kind of they can be a chippy, grinded out team, but they have the guys that can really get it done. And I think Walker and McLaughlin could really combine for some goals this weekend. And McLaughlin needs to get going. And I think he was on the cusp of that before this past weekend. And I feel like he could really get going, and especially if they have Scott back, because that's what Bob said. It said Reedy could be back, but Staudiker's definitely not back this weekend. And even if they get Reedy for one game, I think it would be just a good barometer to see where he's at before the Wisconsin series too. And maybe it works maybe Bob says maybe we don't want to play him and just make sure Wisconsin doesn't know how he looks right now. So, but yeah, I think just the Gophers lineup is still deep enough where I think they'll have a pretty good chance to get a sweep this weekend.
Vigs, now having Reedy back would be great. He'd be a key, but I still think the key is similar to what Drew said. Walker, McLaughlin, they need to kind of pick it up. And if they do, this team is really good.
Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take for them to get going. They need to play a more direct game, and they need to play within their system, and they need to create some second chances and havoc. They're not going to be a team that allows those guys to just score on the rush all the time. There's too much structure in college hockey. They're going to have to find other ways to score. They need to figure it out. I think they need to focus on their defense. That's what Bob talks about a lot with these guys. They need to create those turnovers and some rushes and create some chaos to get something going. So that's what I'm going to be watching for this weekend. And if Ranta can maybe take a step up as well, because I thought he played okay without Reedy in the lineup, and whether or not they get Reedy back, we'll see if he can answer that, but time will tell. I think it's going to be a lot easier for the defense to play against ASU. I don't think it'll be as hard and physical a game. We heard Jackson Lacombe talk about that after the first night. And, it was tough for him knowing that he was going to get hit every time he went back to get a puck. It's not going to be like that this weekend. They're going to be able to make some plays and show off their skill a little bit.
What do you think? Sweep?
Sweep.
There you go.
I think a shootout benefits them. So
it does. It does. I know after, they gave up quite a few goals to Arizona State last time. And I know that Matska was not happy about that. But like you said, the key is not just, it's the team defense coming back, supporting the guys when you don't have the puck. So, well, of course, I'm going to pick sweep because that's what I've been doing all year. It worked.
Stick with it.
2 weeks.
Stick with it.
I may as well, because I thought about going split just to throw you guys off, but no, it's got to be a sweep. So, Drew, what you working on over there at the Zone?
Mostly a lot of wild stuff right now. I just just kind of work.
You got the game on the corner right now as we're doing the podcast.
I listened to the first period. I was on NBC, so I didn't. I don't have the credentials to get into that right now. So, did listen to the first period before we started here, but looked like they were up last time. But just obviously a lot of Kaprizov stuff, a lot of figuring out how this Wild team is not great on the power play, even though they get a lot of chances and a lot of movement. Just still kind of.
They looked good the first night when they had all their guns going, and then they got worried about the face-off stuff and just killed it.
I'm just worried too that people are getting their hopes up, especially when they get victories against the Kings, who are supposed to be bottom 2 in the league, and the Ducks, who are supposed to be maybe bottom 3, bottom 4 in the league. So I'd say anyone who's a Wild fan, don't get your hopes up for all these victories. If there's victories against the Kings, the Sharks, and the Ducks.
I'm looking at it. They did go up when they went up 2-0. It was a power play golden night for the Wild.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Nick Bonino from Erickson Eck.
Your prototypical power play center.
The game is now tied. So that was to go up 2-0, but they've given up 2-0 and it's tied now.
Okay.
So, but they did get a power play goal, so that's
But
good.
yeah, no, I hope
Good.
to be working on some Gopher stuff here down the stretch of the season though.
And I think if you're at home, I think you should do the videos anyway. On
I agree.
Periscope.
Maybe go for a walk.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
go for a walk.
Just stay safe.
I'm.
You could head down to head down to McDonald's. Oh wait, McDonald's isn't there anymore. You could go to Campus Pizza. Oh no, you can't go there anymore either.
I could
Village Walk.
Village.
That was bad. That was my absolute favorite right there. That was the best one.
Yeah. You were openly weeping for that one.
Because my first season going regularly was the Kent Patterson's bona fide starter year in goal. That was my first full season going to games. We went Friday nights. That was it. That was Village Walk before the game, Big Ten before the game.
See, when we used to try to do the Campus Pizza after the games, and that was fun. I miss
now
those
Maxwell's
days.
is just benefiting from that closure.
Yeah, well, we do pretty well at Maxwell's.
Yeah, I feel like I jinxed it. I joined you the last time before everything shut down.
You son of a bitch!
I got ready to go to Blue Door once. That was a win for me.
It was, but it was a long line that night. We waited for a while just to get in.
I like to go to a popular place. What can I say?
You do well. We can actually get in at Maxwell's. All right. Well, do you got anything else, Viggs?
Just keep an eye on that power play. I am interested to see if they stick to what they're supposed to do. Set up, move the puck around, create some chaos. They need to do that, and I think to be successful even against ASU. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. I think they'll get some opportunities.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Drew. It was nice to have you on, and try not to call you Corey again. Jeez.
That's it. Doesn't happen that often, and it's all right.
It's just I had Cove in my mind, and obviously,
how many people do you know with the last name Cove? So
nobody.
DC.
Yeah, there you
nobody.
Go. That's all right. No, but thanks for having me on. It was a great time, and I'm glad to pop on anytime you need a guest.
Well, it's always nice having you on, and like I said, we were talking about you last week during the broadcast because we saw you in the chat, so it was always nice to watch us live as well. But that's going to do it for this episode of the GPL podcast. Obviously, we thank Drew for coming on again, and we'll be back next week to recap the Arizona State series and preview Ohio State. Trying to get Cappy on too, so we'll have to wait and see. For those of you currently watching live on YouTube, stay tuned for some overtime. For the rest of you, we'll see you next week. All right, go grab your beverages, boys.
Okay.
They're both going to leave. So, Steve, I did see your message at the beginning. Your audio is really low. I've been actually messing with the audio because actually the levels were too high recently. Zoom will adjust, but my recording was recording it too high. So I brought the levels down. And then you said, there you go. And I think it's just because I started talking closer to the mic. So
yeah, I noticed that too, that you got quiet there for a little bit.
I literally didn't do it. Maybe I was just further away, but I've got the microphone set, the gain set low, so I can sit close to it. I like to sit close to it. Okay, hold on. Before you do that, let me go to full screen so all those people can see you. Make sure you say something so it comes up.
Size 11, steel toe. It's their annual triple IPA. So it's a big one. A lot of hops, a lot of malt.
It's a bit hoppy.
It's got a big picture of a hop on it. Smells hoppy. Steel toe, 11% ale.
All right, Drew, what you drinking?
A line of Kugels, Snowdrift Vanilla Porter.
That's a nice can. That's just a nice can.
Beautiful.
Very Hams-like.
Huh. It's
I
great.
know
It's
you
got
don't know what
the
Hams
cream
is,
on
but
it.
it kind of has a Hams vibe to it.
Yeah, it's so this one's only brewed between November and February. It's one of their like quarter year type beers, and
Specialty release.
yep, just their
Yeah.
winter porter. It's really good. It's
That's good.
something I discovered last year, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I think Steve's right. I think it could have been Zoom messing with it because, like I said, Zoom audio kind of does its own thing, and I also need my other audio that's recording it to go okay too. So I could probably go to the audio settings and mess with it here. Automatically adjust volume. Well, here we go. How's that? Higher, lower?
Looks good.
That's not too
Sounds
bad.
about the same to me.
Yeah, I'm just barely adjusting it. All the technology with this stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, so I was trying to do my little phone setup for the better camera. I can definitely tell the camera is better, you know?
It's just not fully wide. Is
Yeah.
it? Do you have it on a weird setting? Because it shouldn't be square.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I mean,
It's weird that it's square. Yeah, go ahead and play with it. It's nobody cares.
Well, do we have any overtime stuff?
Besides you guys drinking, I don't know.
I don't know today. Drew,
What'd you
what's
put
going
today?
on? What do you want to tell us about Tom?
About Tom, well, I know I'm about to disparage Tom for liking Minneapolis as I wear my Minneapolis Metrodome sweatshirt.
There you
The
go.
dome.
Yeah,
Minneapolis St. Paul rivalry is huge for that
he's
group.
classic North Loop guy. You know, he started off on the St. Paul side of town and he left and forgotten it ever since. He's a Shoreview guy, but you know, he doesn't like to bring that up anymore.
Doesn't like to bring that up. Oh,
No,
it's interesting.
not at all.
Okay, now I think this is weird. Dale Beers, Pinot Noir. I can't even say it. Is the beverage of the weekend.
I almost went with Pinot. I
know, but
cracked a really nice Pinot tonight because
his name is Beers.
That's true. True.
Oh boy.
What was for dinner tonight, Viggs? Anything?
Tonight was pretty simple. My kids had hockey tonight, so we had a 6:00 hockey practice, and I put them through a little bit of edge work just to start practice, and then we did some. Let's see, what did we do? We did a little 2-on-2 hockey, scoring a net. We did a passing and follow drill, and then we did a obstacle course. Then we played some cross ice hockey with transitions. You got to pass to the coach. And then we had pot stickers.
Oh,
Ooh.
gotta pass to the coach, huh?
Got to pass the coach to get transition going. So it teaches the kids to transition from defense to offense by passing to the defenseman kind of deal.
Uh-huh.
You know, work the puck high low. And then sometimes the coaches will get fancy and pass it around the zone so that puck will shift all over the ice. Because with mites, you know, they're still learning that and see what happens when that happens. So it's fun. We were at Northeast.
Jared Spurgeon with the guys trying to figure out what type of music would make sense.
No, there'll be two periods. I just turned on the Wild game. It's not part of the podcast. I can just turn on the Wild if I want. It's kind of nice. I can just mix that audio in if I want.
So simple meal tonight, Drew. I know you're interested, but
Definitely. It's all good though. You and the kids getting a lot of skating in at the outdoor rink?
not a ton, but we do get some in.
Yeah, because I know I went out to skate at Van Cleve the other day, and I think it was the first day. It was like 20 degrees after those mid 30s days, and boy, was the ice just. It was a quick trip. I can say is that. So
And that affects your skates too. I mean, you go out just a little bit on the outdoor ice, and all of a sudden, if you don't get your skate sharp, you're going to go out for a real game. You're going to be like, "Whoa!" At least I had those issues. I'm not I'm a terrible skater.
We go about every 9 or 10 hours when we get them sharpened, but our park's been good. It's been busy.
yeah,
The ice has been okay. So
yeah. Up until that kind of thaw, that mini thaw, it was in really good shape.
really good. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I don't know, and especially with it was 36 something today. I don't know how good it's going to be the rest of the week, but
Yeah, I thought
Well,
it
it's
was
supposed to
okay.
get cold, so if they can get out, maybe flood tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, my rink gets flooded every morning, so it's
Oh, every morning, really?
yeah, yep. City of Minneapolis is out there every morning working on it, so
Well, that's pretty cool then.
it's pretty nice. There's a hockey rink, a broomball rink. There's a pleasure skate rink. So
I remember one time I got to skate on fresh ice. I mean, it was like glass. I'd never seen it because even when you go to a professional rink, there's always gouges and stuff in it. That's just how it works.
yeah,
I don't know if it had just been flooded or something like that down in Brookside in Bloomington, probably 35 years ago now.
Hmm.
It was just like a sheet of glass, perfectly smooth, the entire thing. And I think I fell right down because I was terrible.
Derek, I'm over at Wyndham Park, so I'm just north of the quarry. So we've got good ice. It's been good. It's been interesting though, because you'll have all these crowds of kids come up, and none of them are wearing masks or anything, and it can get kind of crowded on the rink. And I'm just gonna pull my kids out of there because I want to keep them in school.
Are they in school right now?
They're in school this week.
Okay.
So I got a kindergartner and second grader. I'm just happy that they're going.
Wow.
We'll enjoy it while we can.
Okay. Were you even married when we started the podcast?
I don't think so. Well, not when the GPL podcast.
Okay.
I don't think so. So life changes, Drew. Comes at you pretty quick.
Yeah,
Stop and look around every once in a while.
I may miss it. You're right. It's yeah, no, it's this. If anything, this year has really kind of showed me that just everything could be turned on a dime. If I was sitting January 20th this last year, if I said I'd be sitting where I am doing what I am during the day, I wouldn't believe me.
Yeah, it's
I would say I'm very fortunate too. I've been here since end of March, going into work for some things maybe once every few weeks. And now that we've changed offices and changed the way we've done some business, I don't think I've been there in at least a month or more.
Hmm. Yeah, that
So
where I was working kind of during the day was in Minnetonka, and that was
you
we
weren't far from me, actually.
yeah, no, we stopped going. They kind of went down to a skeleton crew for a while, and then they brought us all back when things were looking up in June, and then 3 weeks later, it kind of all went back, and I haven't been back since then. So it's definitely
See,
a little bit of a
we actually got rid of our office there. We don't even use it. We use an office space that was built for us at our parent company, but it's an office space that actually doesn't even fit all of us in there from our agency. It's only meant kind of as a meeting place. Like if you need something, come on in. Otherwise, work from home. But it made sense. They spend. It probably wasn't cheap to redo this space, but when you're spending 13, 14 grand a month on rent,
yeah.
and you're not using it,
Mhm.
use some of that money, build out a space, and then it's paid for. So
Yeah. I just like working from home. It's easier to get to check out the availabilities every week during the day. The Tuesdays at noon to 12:30 type of thing. I can just turn them right on. And
I completely missed it yesterday. I was just so doing some stuff, and then he didn't post the video. He only posted the audio. I was kind of
the video
surprised.
went up today.
Oh, it did go up today.
Yeah, I had to review it. I had to leave for a meeting early in the middle of Bob.
Thank you for telling
I
me.
saw
I'll
you
probably-
leave during middle, Bob. Drew, I was worried
Yeah,
for
I
you.
had a 1:00 meeting and kind of pushed it a little bit for me, but
Well, that's good to know because I'll grab that video and put it together then and put it out because people seem to like that stuff.
I posted
And
a bunch of tweets about what they said today, and sometimes that works, but the video's good.
I always had, I already had people say, aren't you going to do the game recaps? I'm like, sometimes I'm busy on the weekends. I don't always want to. Was I drinking last weekend?
well, you made it to the liquor store after.
Yeah, you got to the liquor store. You got some vodka,
saw the
and some
photo, right?
Carver. Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know what
photo,
you're talking
too.
about.
I didn't even know they
Did
had
you?
liquor stores out in your neck of the woods.
Wow. But if you noticed, it was Vigs that was drinking the hard stuff.
Why not?
Yeah, he was sending me that. Yeah, I ended up going with the vodka tonic that night.
Rube will like this if he's still on here. I had a little Stag Junior bourbon. Very nice stuff.
One of these days I'm going to take like a Thursday and Friday off just for the weekend. And then I'm just going to, even during the podcast, just going to start drinking.
Doesn't really matter for me. I've got 2 little ones who wake up and we've got enough hockey practice going on where, got to keep it in check, be respectable. Like,
all right, guys, time to do some editing.
all right. Sounds good. Maybe we'll get in the rink by the end of the year. I don't know. We'll see. It sounds like they're loosening some of the restrictions. So
I hope so. Yeah. A little bit of fans there.
The funny thing is, Deutsch, you said, we got an extra space. You want to come down? I'm like, no, I didn't really want to. Hasn't been a word since then. So like you said, they've cut it down even more, Drew.
Yeah. After that first weekend, they kind of realized, all right, we might need to tamp it down even more. And it was really spaced out the first time.
Yeah.
Too, at least from media side. There was a lot of obviously like stats, but I mean, there was 5 on that row that we're usually on. It was 5 total people.
Well, it's hard to get to the internal seats without messing with the social distance. So and I was kind of sitting
by the stair, and it's like, well, I get everybody that comes through.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
when Russo went to the Notre Dame game, he just went down and sat in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, if I go, I'm just gonna bring my camera gear. And you're supposed to stay on that. I can stay on that side of the ice and then shoot down by the glass. I would never even need to go up into the press box. So
I mean, I wouldn't mind just sitting by myself in the middle of some empty section, and enough rows off the glass, and just report from there. I don't know.
Could work. Wi-Fi might be just
if
as
they let
good.
me in, I would do it. That's all.
The Wi-Fi is not great from that side.
No.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Because sometimes I'll listen to the games, my earbuds. I used to use these earbuds, not even for listening to sound. I'd use it for the noise cancellation. Because when you're shooting on the glass and you got all this sound hitting the glass, and you just go home and your ears are ringing. And even it doesn't even have to be a full crowd, just a little bit of noise. When you're on the glass, it's noisy. Mm-hmm. So can't they put folks in the suites? They probably could. They just don't want to open them up and clean them. 10,000 seats, though, they could put people on the TV side because obviously they want to keep no access to anything near the teams.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll take a look at the schedule, and maybe when Wisconsin comes to town, I'll see if Deutsche will let me come over and I'll just stay on the other side and shoot the whole night. Bring my laptop, set up on the seat if I want to.
There you go.
All right, boys. You guys have a good one.
Yeah.
All right. You too.
Thanks for joining us, Drew.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. Stay safe.
I'll be listening.
All right.
All right. Later, guys.
All right.
Later.
See you guys.